You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Carol Novello, board member at Cuddly Inc., founder and author at Mutual Rescue. Welcome, Carol. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me again, Polly. I appreciate it.
I wanted to find out about Cuddly. Could you please tell us about that organization?
Cuddly is a very exciting company. They are making it possible for rescue groups and shelters all across the country to fundraise in ways that they haven't been able to before, because a lot of organizations just don't simply have the resources to build the infrastructure that they need to do that. And so what Cuddly has done is they have created a fundraising platform that makes it possible for them to use that platform free of charge. And they are then able to take their emails and any of their adopters or any of the people they're involved with, they can use those emails and do outreach to their community, asking them to make donations to help support the work, as well as fulfill wish lists of items that the shelter or the rescue group needs in order to care for animals. And so that's something that a lot of people, first of all, they love to be able to buy specific items that they know are going to help a specific animal. And what's also unique is that if you do that through other platforms today, you're actually not able to get a tax donation receipt. But when you give through Cuddly, you are able to not only have goods purchased that are shipped directly to the shelter that the shelter needs to care for animals, but you also get a receipt for tax deduction purposes. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Okay, so I have actually donated to organizations, nonprofits that are helping dogs via Cuddly. And so that's interesting how it's the platform that these nonprofits are using to help the dogs.
Yes, that's great. And so what's really the way that Cuddly is able to offer this platform is it's very similar to GoFundMe. If you went to GoFundMe, it asks you if you want to leave a tip for GoFundMe, and Cuddly does the same thing. And that's what makes it possible for that infrastructure to be free for the shelters. So it's really a value add in the animal welfare space, because again, there's so many shelters and rescue groups out there, and it's very difficult for any one in particular to raise the money and put in the effort that's necessary to create that infrastructure. So essentially, it's sharing the infrastructure that would be needed to scale and build a fundraising platform, and doing it in a way that's much more efficient than if each organization did it on their own. And on top of that, Cuddly has consultants that work directly with the shelters to help them get up on the platform, start using it, start raising money. And it really has helped a lot of animals and made it possible for the great work that's going on in these organizations to get the funds they need to save animals' lives.
Wow, that's really impressive. How did you get involved with Cuddly?
So I knew the CEO from way back when. We've been having a lot of discussions when I was president of Humane Society Silicon Valley, we talked on numerous occasions. And then when I shifted my focus to just work on mutual rescue, I had more time. And since I wasn't running a large rescue organization 100% of the time. And so he asked me if I would like to join the board and get involved with them. And it really is an opportunity to help the sector in yet another way. So mutual rescue, again, is doing a lot around changing the conversation between people and animals. And Cuddly is really doing things that are helping with infrastructure and technology in ways that wouldn't have been accessible to any one local rescue organization.
And so the nonprofits that are interested in using Cuddly, do they have to be a certain size? Or if you're a two-man show, are you able to?
You do need to be set up as a nonprofit. So there is a certification or a validation process that organizations go through. So if you're actually not structured as a 501c3, you can't just be like, hey, and
Sure,
vouch that you're a nonprofit. But if you are an established nonprofit, that's the key thing, is that you are legally recognized as a nonprofit.
We just were taking care of a dog through Operation Secondhand Paw and out of Denver. And we were fostering a dog that came from Mexico. And I'll have to tell the woman that's running it, it is a 501c. I think she only probably has 2 or 3 employees, about Cuddly, because I'm not sure if she knows. People might think that it's just for larger.
No, and in fact, I actually think it's most helpful for smaller rescues, because of the fact that you're just otherwise, you're not going to have the time, the money, the ability to create this platform on your own. So I think it's especially helpful for smaller organizations to be able to raise money in ways that they wouldn't have been able to before.
Well, that's super. And tell us once again about your book, because I think that also ties in.
Yes, Mutual Rescue, How Adopting a Homeless Animal Can Save You Too, brings together stories and science about how when you welcome a homeless animal into your home, it not only is saving that animal's life, but in a lot of cases is going to end up dramatically transforming your own life. And so it is an accompaniment to the short films that we created that tell a lot of these stories about human conditions that have been overcome because a rescue animal has been part of the solution, whether it's obesity or addiction or trauma or other kinds of things, loneliness. There's all kinds of things that we as humans are dealing with. And when we welcome a rescue animal into our life, in many cases, it provides a source of love and caring and unconditional positive regard that can make it possible for us to make strides and overcome big obstacles.
Are you able to share a story?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many. And one of the ones that I am really amazed, I'm amazed at all of the stories that I share in the book. And, just when I think there can't be another one that blows me away, I hear about another one. But there is a story in the book about a woman named Amanda, and she credits her rescue dog with helping her to leave a abusive relationship. And basically, this dog is a stray dog that she found and loved this dog. And the dog was very timid and really almost kind of fearful. And then she got involved in a relationship that ended up turning very abusive. And one night, her boyfriend was threatening her, and she was like on the floor, really scared. And her dog, Nigel, just came over and stood over her and just stared at her boyfriend like, don't you dare touch her. And it was in that moment when she realized, oh my gosh, like this dog who's so fearful and scared became courageous on my behalf. And really in that moment, that gave her the courage that she needed to leave this man. And there's a wonderful quote by Brené Brown, which says that courage is contagious. And that's exactly what happened in this situation with Amanda and Nigel. The courage that this dog displayed helped her summon up courage within herself. And she says, if I hadn't had Nigel, I probably would have gone back because I wouldn't have known what else to do. But I just remembered that image of him standing over me, protecting me, and being so courageous that I knew I had to do that for myself and for him so that we could be safe. And what's wonderful is she has gone on. She's gotten well past that relationship. She met a wonderful man and has since gotten married to someone that really cares for her and respects her. And she credits that all to Nigel.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, the book sounds like it'd be a great stocking stuffer.
Well, I think so. And it is a great stocking stuffer. And all of the proceeds benefit Mutual Rescue, which is a nonprofit initiative of Humane Society of Silicon Valley. So you can feel good knowing that the proceeds from the book will help continue Mutual Rescue's efforts.
Well, that's wonderful. I'll put all the information in the show notes, and we certainly would love to have you back on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Polly. I really appreciate it.
Okay, great.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.